guys, welcome back to Rossoneri TV. I'm Gio and I'm with Adamo today to preview the big match this weekend. It's Roma Milan at the Stadio Olimpico. Very important match for both of these teams. Of course, Milan still chasing that third place position. They have lots of teams to battle against. That includes Napoli, Genoa, Sampdoria, Fiorentina, Lazio. Lots of teams, still lots of playing time this season in order to catch that third place. On the other hand, Roma still title contenders with Juventus. They definitely don't want to lose that pace they have currently with them. So it's going to be a very big, important match for both of these teams. Very crucial. Now, Adamo, last week, of course, Milan beat Napoli 2-0. A very unexpected scoreline. Not many people thought that Milan were going to get a result against Napoli, but they did. What do you think about this time around against Roma? Of course, another tough match. Do you think Milan has really set that morale to a high this season? Do you think they could get a result against Roma at the Stadio Olimpico in really unforeseen circumstances?
Well, I think Milan really need to find their consistent basis, because this season they've been beating big teams, losing to small teams, stuff like that, and they've been dropping a lot of points. So hopefully they can get some sort of result against Roma. I did not think they would do what they did against Napoli, and if they keep up the same type of tempo, sort of a same lineup and the same tactics and stuff like that, I think we can get the job done, but it will be a very, very difficult task. As you said, Roma, they don't want to lose points against Juventus, and they really want to win the title this year. As we can tell, they came very close last year, and even this year, they're still extremely close to Juve. So they don't want to be dropping any points, and Milan don't want to be dropping any points because they want to make Europe. So it should be a great game, but I think it's going to be pretty unpredictable.
Very well said. Of course, the main key here is consistency, something that's been lacking in Milan for a really long time. Of course, as Adamo mentioned, Milan wins a few games and goes on to drop points in 3-4 games in a row, something that we don't need, especially at this stage in the season where there's so many teams currently tied for positions. Something like this, Milan have to take advantage of and continue winning their games. But it's going to be very tough against Roma, as we already said. Now, guys, in the press conference, Milan already kind of sending some messages to Roma. Inzaghi saying that if Roma is going to beat us, it's going to be because they played a very good match altogether, and it's not going to be because we played bad or poorly. Bonera saying that Roma have to watch out because Milan could always pull out an old trick out of the bag and get a result out of nowhere, like we saw against Napoli, of course. So, of course, all these kinds of comments coming around. But let's take a look at the starting lineup, because this is what it's important. The players that will be featuring in this match for Milan. First of all, of course, Diego Lopez starting in net. No surprise there. Back four composed of Bonera starting right back, Zapata, Mexes as the center backs, Armero as the left back. For the mids, De Jong, Montolivo, and Poli to be reconfirmed like we saw against Napoli. And up front, Bonaventura on the left, Menez in the middle, on the right. Adamo, let's start off with the defense, of course. Very similar defense to what we saw against Napoli. Only one exception there, and that is Zapata replacing Rami, of course. Rami getting injured against Napoli there. What do you think about Zapata playing in this match? Do you think he deserves to get a second chance? Of course, we saw him making so many mistakes this season so far, like we saw against Palermo. Do you think he deserves a second chance? And what do you think he could do to influence his impact on this match altogether?
I see Zapata as much like Milan in a sense, as some games he'll be amazing. We'll think, oh man, this guy's got pace. He can read the game well. He's got good interceptions. And another game, he'll just make these stupid mistakes where we could have easily got points from the match, and he'll just mess up, especially against Dybala with that fantastic goal against Palermo. Moments like that where you think, what are you doing? I don't understand how a professional defender would do something like that. So hopefully we see the good Zapata versus Roma. We're going to need the good Zapata if we want a result, because Roma's attack is pretty dangerous, especially as we have Bonera and Armero on the wings, even though respectively they did pretty well against Napoli. But, you can't expect too much from them. But yeah, that defense, hopefully it can hold the fort. Will it? I'm not too sure. I can't really tell you that, but I just hope that the defense can really solidify itself like it did against Napoli, which is a very attacking side. And like I said, just hold the fort.
Very well said. Now for the midfield, as I mentioned, De Jong, Montolivo to start once again on the left, Poli on the right. We saw this midfield against Napoli. Just did wonders for us altogether, really. Could this be our best possible midfield that we could field in any given match, Adam?
Well, I think so because Montalivo is a great distributor of the ball. Can pass it any which way, any length of the pitch. He can do it all with passing wise, and he does help out a bit on the defensive side as well. So I've been really liking Montalivo since he came back, especially against Napoli, and I think he deserves more credit, especially being our captain. That he's really performing now. And Poli is Poli. Too many people give him criticism, if you ask me. The guy, he works his ass off the entire game, goes back and forth on the pitch, even gets scoring opportunities, creates chances. He's like a player like Vidal, except not to the same extent of talent. But he does have that grinta like Gattuso had back in the day, which is something that this Milan team needs, and I think that's what Inzaghi likes most. And then you have, of course, Nigel de Jong, arguably one of the best people on the pitch for Milan. Always consistent, helping the defense out on a consistent basis, and it's just fantastic. So if you ask me, I think this is indeed our best possible midfield that we can field.
Good points there, Adamo. And now finally for the forwards, Bonaventura to start on the left. As I said, replacing El Shaarawy. This is probably one of the biggest points of discussion because Inzaghi was pretty much hinting that El Shaarawy is still not ready for this kind of match. Of course, he's not in form. He hasn't been playing particularly well except that match against Sampdoria where he scored. So you can't really give him much credit this season so far to El Shaarawy. He's going to have to prove himself. Something that Bonaventura definitely has so far this season. Of course, we saw him scoring and providing an assist for Menez last week against Napoli. So pretty much, I think he really deserves the starting position there for Milan. Menez to start in the middle, on the right, which I think is going to be one of his last matches before the Asian Cup. Of course, he will be featuring in it for Japan next month. So it will be interesting to see how he performs beforehand. But what do you think about these front three going into this match against Roma?
Well, with Bonaventura, like you were saying, I think he deserves it. You can't bench a guy that's been on such great form and just give it to El Shaarawy because El Shaarawy, even though I love El Shaarawy, I think, even though it's hard to say, I think Inzaghi might be doing the right move here because although Stefan always contributes to the games, Bonaventura is just on form right now and he's bringing a lot more to the pitch than El Shaarawy has. So hopefully this is a little fire for El Shaarawy and he'll continue on his form and obviously improve as the season goes on. And Bonaventura can, help him fight for the spot. And the thing I love most about Bonaventura is he's extremely flexible. He can play in the mid, he can play in attack, he can play in the wing, he can play in the middle, he can play anywhere, he can do any role you want him to do. So really that helps out for the entire squad in general. And, with Menez, he's hot some games, cold some games. But recently he has been hot against Napoli. Amazing game for him. There's nothing much more you can ask for from Menez unless he's, of course, out of form, which he hasn't been recently. And Honda, I think you got to give this game to him. Last game until the Asian Cup. It's a very important match, and hopefully he can perform. So I'm pretty happy with the attacking Trident, and hopefully El Shaarawy can come back sometime soon.
Perfect. Now let's talk just a bit about Roma, of course. They're expected to start many of their starters, of course. Just a few suspensions, however, for Roma. They had a very tough match last week against Genoa. Lots of suspensions there, accumulation of yellow cards altogether. Astori, Pjanic, Olabas are the players suspended for Roma, and they won't be featuring for the match against Milan. And also, Rudi Garcia, their coach, is suspended for this match. So it will be interesting how this plays out for Milan. Could they have a slight advantage on this fact that Garcia will even be coaching this match altogether? Of course, I'm pretty sure he's going to have a good talk with the team beforehand, but not being there physically could play an impact on Roma's chances. I hope it does. I hope Milan get a result out of this. And this brings me to my next point, Adamo. Prediction time. What do you think the score will be?
This is going to be tough. I got to say, considering Roma's unfortunate times recently with injuries and such, with their best center back, Leandro Castano, I got to say 2-1 to Milan just because the middle of their pitch is very, very weak in the sense of center back wise. They do have Manolas, which is a fantastic player, but Yanga Mbiwa has been making plenty of mistakes recently. And, their fullbacks aren't the best as well. With Holibasa, who has been arguably their best fullback so far, at least for their past recent games, he's out, and you're missing Pjanic as well. So I'm going to say 2-1 to Milan. I think it's possible, and hopefully it happens.
Well, very well said there. On the other hand, I have to go with a tie. I'm going to go with a 1-1. Roma is a very, very tough team, especially to be at home at the Stadio Olimpico with the support of the home crowd. It's going to be tough altogether. Does Milan have the quality to beat Roma? I don't think so. So I'm going to settle in for a 1-1 tie. That's it, guys, for the match preview. Don't forget to subscribe to Rossoneri TV for match previews, reviews, fan reactions, discussions, news, and much more. We've got it all here to cover AC Milan. So thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you guys on Saturday after the match. This has been Gio and Adamo signing off. And as usual, Forza Milan.